Wrap me in a bolt of lightning, send me on my way still smiling. Maybe that's the way I should go, straight into the mouth of the unknown. I left the spare key on the table, I never really thought I'd be able to say I merely visit on the weekends. I lost my whole life and a dear friend. I've said it so many times.
Now you've had some time to look back with the self-scouting stuff. What do you think was the key to your guys' upswing toward the end of the season? I know the first half of Detroit maybe wasn't what you wanted, but other than that, the last 4 or 5 games are really good.
I think it was a combination of a lot of things. Just continuing to grow in the system and be more confident in the calls and the recognition of things pre-snap, and just logging more reps and just playing it better. Getting a little bit more confidence. We had some communication issues that we finally kind of made it we overemphasized it, and I think that guys responded and found that the over communicating part was a positive, and I think it really forced guys to buckle down and make sure they knew the graduate level details of their job. Otherwise, guys are quiet if they don't know it. So I think it forced them a little bit to dig a little bit deeper, and the results were obviously beneficial.
And Mike, what is that over communicating? Because your guys, to a man, mentioned that, so it's clear that it not only did get through, but they also believe that was kind of the tipping point for you. So can you give us an example of what that means? Like if you've got a call, what is the over communicating part of it?
Well, there's little adjustments within every call, or it might be a double call, two defenses in one based on the offensive look. But most of the time, the communication involves, the vast majority of it involves the secondary, just making sure there's a lot of different ways to play certain coverages and certain techniques, changing leverage based on the offense's formation. There's certain special formations that would cause us to have some type of check, whether they condense it and put all the receivers inside the numbers, or they put 3 guys close in a bunch, or empty, just any of those special type deals that require. And I think sometimes, in the beginning, guys, would make the assumption that the guys around them knew, and I just think that's what we finally hammered home, is never assume. And I always felt good about a defense when they're, and I've said this before in here, noisy. A noisy defense is one that knows what they're doing, that's confident. Because as you know, guys, if they're not sure, they're not going to put it out there. But I just think that was the best, the response. And the guys knew it, and I just think that's, because when we went back, after the bye, and we were having some of the issues, and we pulled up some of the explosive plays that we gave up. A lot of them were, we call them tip the hat. Hey, they made a play. It was a great throw and a great catch, and there's not much we could do about it. But there were a lot that were on us that if we had communicated better, that we would have been in much better position to defend it. So, they took that to heart, and the results have been positive.
A while back, you had talked about how losing Raven forced you to play some guys at unnatural positions back there. Is the bye week and what he's been able to do, plus what he'll do next week, enough time to get him ready after as much time as he's been? Yeah,
I'm not sure. He looks good running around out there. I'm sure there's some rust as far as just getting back into the flow of things. But that's I think we're just going to have to wait and see how he is after the weekend, and that's a decision. We'll have a lot more information next week and be able to make it.
Would you be a little bit reluctant though to make any changes, regardless of who's coming back, just because you guys have found some continuity and looks like you got your rotations squared away and all that?
Sure, but I just think you have to look at the big picture as well. It involves special teams, who's up, who's down, who's available. That we've had certain, kind of the last couple spots, it's been pretty fluid. So, I think we have some good continuity with our units. But if it does work out that he does come back, it's not like he's just going to plug right in and play 50 snaps. I mean, it would be on a limited role, I'm sure.
Mike, you told us when free agency was going on that you were hoping to get one of the Smiths, and then you obviously got both. At what point did you realize or think that you had something special in Z and what he might be able to become in your scheme?
Well, I mean, just he was our. I mean, that was our guy when we evaluated the outside backers. I mean, he was the one that we were the most excited about. So we knew the moment we signed him from a football standpoint that he was going to bring, what we saw on tape. But it was at some point during the spring, I can't pinpoint it, where you just kind of felt the presence in the room and the leadership, and you just around him, and the work ethic and the kind of the infectious, just confidence and the personality. We just didn't realize that till we were around him, and I think that's just been a big, both he and Preston. I just think that's been a big boost for the room, not just from a playing standpoint, just from a, all the things I talked about, the intangibles.
Do those guys underscore though what you told us last year of it's not about sacks, it's about affecting the quarterback, and when you assess the way you've affected the quarterback this year compared to last year, is it night and day, even though you had a ton of sacks last year?
It is, because I think we did a much better job affecting the quarterback. Whether it's completion percentage or the quarterback numbers, or just forcing the ball out quicker than teams would like to get it out. Sometimes you don't even get a pressure, but typically when you look at how quickly the ball comes out against us versus potentially some other teams, the quarterbacks don't tend to hold it as long because they know just the guys that are in there, and it's only a matter of time before they're breaking free. So. I know we've had a major effect on opposing quarterbacks. I mean, that's the bottom line. You're not always going to get a lot of other things. So there's other factors involved with the sacks, whether it's a mobile quarterback and they can get out of it, or they get a chance to throw the ball away, or a lot of different things can decide whether you get one or not. But just as far as moving that guy off a spot and affecting his ability to throw a completion, I think that it's been a world of difference this year.
Just curious about something. When you're playing off coverage at corner, is it you or the coaching staff who decides how big the cushion is, or is that up to the corner?
Typically, we have the parameters are set up during the week. A lot of it's situational. Is it longer D&D? A lot of it is that goes into it is the receiver himself. Is this a guy that struggles to get off a press, or is this a guy that we're worried about his top end speed if he gets above us, that we don't want to come down and get hands on and press. A lot of times it's the formation, that if there's certain clues to this split means this type of route, therefore we want to be off versus being on. Certainly when they reduce the formations, whether it's just a single receiver by himself cut, or just a bunch or a stack or something like that. So there's a lot that go into it. I wouldn't say the players have it. I wouldn't say they have the freedom to do it or not do it. But a lot of times it's their belief and we sometimes call it an ability alignment. That if I feel good about it, I can get up and get my hands on, and this guy's not going to run by me. Versus playing off and just being a little bit wary of the guy's speed and the types of routes that he runs, playing off coverage. I do like to mix it. I don't like giving a steady diet of any one look. And a lot of times it is coverage driven. Sometimes we play off and we're actually playing a hard corner, but we want to show that we're playing off and now have that corner just flat foot instead of playing that from a traditional pressed corner look. So there are some things schematically where we'll press and bail, or we'll show off and play as a hard corner, just so we're not giving the same look to an offense.
Mike, Rodgers has talked about guys accepting roles on this team. I'm wondering what Fackrell has shown you this year. He has the play against Carolina. He drew that holding penalty that wiped out the touchdown in Minnesota. He obviously hasn't played as much or produced as much as he did last year. What have you found out about him this year, do you think?
Just he's the consummate professional. I mean, unselfish. Anything. And there are times where you feel bad, kind of giving him some of those roles, or knowing that his playing time is limited. And I mean, he's the same guy, whether he knows he's featured in a plan, or some of the pressures are in for him, or he has some of the more thankless jobs. He just goes out and does his job, and he does it well. I mean, he's a as he proved last year, a very efficient pass rusher, and he showed that this year. There were times where he was winning and just didn't win fast enough because the other guys were, or the quarterback had gotten flushed. He had a lot of near misses, but he's been very effective as a rusher, and he's also been he's one of our better droppers as well. So it's sometimes the curse of that, like, hey, you're good at it, therefore you're going to do it. So, but as far as, I mean, you've seen him. I mean, I wouldn't want to play poker against him. I mean, it doesn't change. So he's just, whether it's whatever we're asking to do. I mean, coach, just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
So you've coached a long time and been on really good teams. Is that, when somebody like Rodgers talks about role players, we all think, well, your studs are the ones who decide whether you're going to win or lose or be a good team or not. Do good teams have guys like that who are that way? Do you have to have that kind of culture?
I think you have to. I think this is the National Football League. Every team has their superstars, but you see some teams that just can't quite put it together. And I think it's that next group, those the program guys where they're just it's not a full-time role. But I've always felt that those guys are kind of the glue that holds it all together. And then you have those types of guys that are in their roles, but because they're getting that playing time, if something does happen, an injury or otherwise, where they have to step up and play more, they've done it, and the stage isn't too big. So I think Kyler's a perfect example. He's a team guy, and he does what we ask him, and he's very quietly been a real big part of our success.
Was the intent when you started to move Za'Darius around to help shake him from some double teams and maybe shake Kenny from some of those double teams? Was that just has that been a byproduct of what's happened as he's sort of been able to pick and choose gaps?
Yeah, it was just something we wanted, just a wrinkle, just to force an offense to prepare for it. Something that in small doses has been very effective for us, and I think it takes advantage of Z's ability he's very athletic in tight spaces, but he's powerful as well. That he can kind of get skinny, but force his way through a gap. It's rare that he's just winning clean, but he's just so strong that if he just kind of gets on an edge, and I just think that's very, if you ask the centers, I mean that's hitting a moving target, whereas they're used to a guy lined up on their nose or shaded one way, and all of a sudden now they're heads down, they're popping it back up to snap it, and here's a guy that's moving around on them. They're not sure whether he's going to be straight ahead, or, thick through me, or he's going to be working one gap or stepping one gap and coming back to the other. So I just think that makes it difficult on them, and that's what we're always looking for, something that's hard on them, easy for us, and it takes advantage of what we do. So I do think I'm sure it causes other teams some prep time, and it's a package that obviously has been successful. It's not, we just don't just say, hey, we're just going to run it every play now. I mean, we still have to do our core things, but it's been a really good complement to what we do.
Two more, please.
Do you think Jair and Kevin and Shaman are playing at the level they need to play at for the playoffs? I mean, everybody focuses on quarterbacks this time of year, so it's up to the DBs to stop those guys,
Sure, and I think Jair has been very consistent. We talked about it in here. He's had a couple hiccups here and there, but I just think overall has been very consistent. And the guy that we're most pleased about is Kevin. That Kevin, I think, finally is confident. I think he feels healthy. And the corners, I thought, were in the last couple games were very physical, and I think that's what we need, especially this time of year against some of these offenses we might go up against. We got to be disruptive. We can't give free access into the secondary, and we got to tackle. I mean, it's kind of a very underrated thing. I know a lot of offenses come into the very first thing when they game plan is, will these corners tackle? So that's why a lot of times you'll see reduced formations and the ball bounce out to force that corner to make a tackle. And our guys have answered, that if they've taken that challenge. I thought our corners have tackled extremely well, especially in the last month. And Tremont, he's been steady. I mean, does his job. It's great having kind of that veteran presence and leadership in there. He just has a real good feel in the slot, just with all the time he's logged at that position. I mean, he's a better blitzer than people think. And he does a real nice job kind of getting a sense for how teams are trying to attack us in the slot and adjusting to it.
Did Coach McCarthy call you to pick your brain before he interviewed in Cleveland?
We've communicated, but it was not about that.